last 2 days in the Federal Court of Canada here in Toronto, there's been an important trial about freedom of speech. I'm talking about Section 13 of the Canadian Human Rights Commission. For more than 30 years, that censorship provision had a 100% conviction rate. But then something happened 2 years ago. For the first time, they lost. Richard Warman, the serial complainant, filed a complaint against my guest today, Marc Lemire, and Lemire won. Welcome to the show.
Thanks very much for having me on.
Now, you've been on before, and we've been talking about this. You were the first person ever to beat the rap in this censorship provision. Obviously, the Human Rights Commission couldn't let this stand, so they immediately appealed to the federal court. Tell me about that two-day hearing, and then I got some more questions for you. What's it been like in court the last 2 days?
Well, they appealed the 2009 ruling of the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal, and so it was actually just a one-day hearing, and it finished a little bit early.
Okay.
There was 8 interveners up supporting and opposed to Section 13.
So interveners, those are other people sending lawyers because they have an interest in the fight. Tell me who was on which side. So Richard Warman was the complainant. I regard him as Canada's serial censor.
Yes.
He was the nominal complainant, and you were the nominal defendant. But everyone else had a dog in this hunt. Who was on which side?
Okay, supporting Section 13 and wanting to continue censorship was B'nai B'rith Canada.
That's stunning to me. I'm embarrassed by that. Keep going.
Simon Wiesenthal Center.
Oh, my God.
African Canadian Legal Clinic, being represented by the former head of the CJC.
Who was that?
Ed Morgan.
That's just weird.
The Canadian Human Rights Commission.
So the Jews and the Canadian Human Rights Commission. And who was on the side of free? You know what? I find it so frustrating that official Jews, in the name of the Jewish community, are on the side of censorship. But you didn't say the Canadian Jewish Congress. They originally were against you, but they pulled out of the fight. I find that encouraging.
They sent a letter a couple days ago that they're no longer going to be intervening and didn't send anybody. Marvin Kurz was representing them nominally, but wasn't at the hearing.
It's a little bit of good news. And the federal government, whose law this is being challenged, they also didn't show up to defend their own law. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that they made it clear 2 years ago when the Canadian Human Rights Commission first appealed that they weren't going to be taking part in this case for one side or the other. I mean, the federal court justice actually raised the issue multiple times that the Attorney General wasn't there and wished that they were there to make representations.
Well, I think the fact they're not there tells the whole story. I mean, when you pull your own goalie from the net, you're saying, I don't care if the other side scores. Now, who was on the side of free speech?
On the side of free speech was the Canadian Civil Liberties Association.
I'm pleased to hear that because they're generally left of center. And, to have them defend right-wing speech or politically incorrect speech is encouraging. Did they make a good case? Did they present themselves?
Very good case.
I'm very pleased to hear that. Who else was on the side of free speech?
BC Civil Liberties Association.
Good. They're great.
Yeah,
Who else?
They're very good. Canadian Association for Free Expression.
Yeah.
And the Canadian Free Speech League.
Okay,
on our side.
Were there other interveners like the Canadian Constitution Foundation? Were they there?
The Canadian Constitution Foundation wasn't there.
Okay, well, we got Chris Schaefer from their team to talk next, so I'll ask him about that. Now, let's get to the actual substance at hand. You were a webmaster 2003, so 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
And so for 8 years you've been fighting this through the Human Rights Commission, the tribunal.
8 years.
8 years. How much does it cost you? You don't have to tell me the exact amount. Give me a rough estimate.
Well over $100,000.
And the other side is funded all by tax money.
Everybody on the other side is taxpayer funded.
Now, what did you say? Here's a picture of your website, Freedom Site, right now. Now, people say you're a bigot. People say you're anti-Semitic because when you were younger, well, tell me what's your involvement with something called the Heritage Front?
When I was 15 or 16 years old, I went to a few meetings of the Heritage Front and then moved on from there. I mean, really, if you look at the case against me, there's not a single word that I said that comprises the case against me.
Well, let me ask you this. So you published this website that had things that caused people to raise their eyebrows and take you to this hate speech complaint.
Right.
Did you write any of the words on the website?
None of them that are complained of. I wrote tons of stuff. They didn't complain about any of them.
And when they complained, did you take the stuff they complained about down?
Yeah, there's only one document that I had on my site called Age Secrets, and I took it down immediately. As soon as I received the complaint in 2003.
So you didn't write anything yourself. So you acknowledge that when you were a youngster, you were involved with a group called the Heritage Front that is known to be racist or anti-Semitic. But you're saying this website that was complained of, you didn't write any of the words. When they complained about the words, you took them down, but they still prosecuted you for 8 years.
They still prosecuted me for 8 years.
And we're still in court right now.
Yeah, and we tried to mediate. I mean, Section 13 is a remedial piece of legislation.
What happens if you lose?
Well, they could.
Well, you won. What happens if you had lost?
Well, I would
Or
have
if it's
got a
appealed.
lifetime speech ban, that I could have never repeated the content of the post that they complained about, and I could have been fined up to $10,000.
Now, on the screen here is one of the things that was complained about on your website. It's called the Immigrant Poem. I'm going to read just a couple of stanzas. This is not Shakespeare. This is not even E.E. Cummings. I'm just going to read it. I cross ocean, poor and broke. I take bus, see employment folk. Nice men treat me good in there. Say I need to get welfare. Welfare say you come no more. We send you cash right to your door. Welfare checks, they make you healthy. Medicaid, keep you healthy. I'm not going to read anymore. Well, okay, right. Okay, this is enough. This is the last one, folks. Write to friends in motherland. Tell them come as fast as you can. They come in turbines and Ford trucks. I buy big house with welfare bucks. Look, I mean, it's a politically incorrect poem. I'm not going to call it racist. I'm going to call it politically incorrect. And if it's racist, I don't even care. You know what? It's a freaking poem on the internet, and for 8 years you've been prosecuted for it. Is this the worst hate in this country that we need 8 years worth of prosecution for?
Well, if that's it, really, the problems are over in this country. And one other thing, you didn't get that from my website. You got that from the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal's website.
You're exactly right. I had my staff running around today, and the only place they could find that poem was on the government's website. What do you make of it? The fact that the government that censors you, and they tried to censor me too, that they themselves republish this hate speech. That's a little upside down, isn't it?
Well, you know, if you look at the government and publishing hate speech, they have had many arms in this. I mean, not just the one that you just read that they were crazy about saying was hate speech, but look at all the agents that they're putting on message boards to post hate material in order to further Section 13 and to continue this industry of complaining.
Well, let's talk about that for 1 minute. I want to stretch this interview a little bit longer. The guy who went after you, his name is Richard Warman.
Yep.
Former Human Rights Commission staffer himself. So his day job was working at the Human Rights Commission.
Yep.
At night, he would file complaints to his same office.
That's right.
And he won, what, 15 of these cases in a row or something?
He won them all.
And he won tens of thousands of dollars in payments for his hurt feelings and pain and suffering, tax-free money. It was a side hobby for him.
Yeah.
But he kept doing it once he left the commission, kept filing it with his old friends there. But here's the crazy thing. He went online. He joined neo-Nazi groups. Like, you say you were a member of the Heritage Front.
Right.
He joined a neo-Nazi group called Stormfront and the Vanguard News. And he went in with these neo-Nazi aliases and said all sorts of stuff. He said Jews are scum. He said Erwin Kotler, a Jewish MP, is scum. He said blacks should be discriminated against. We should have an all-white city called Whiteville, an apartheid city. White cops should be loyal to their race. He said gays are a cancer. So this is the alleged hate
He also said more than that.
What did he say?
He also ended his posts with Hail Hitler, things like this.
So this is this great free speech this big anti-hate champion, this Human Rights Commission staffer, still works for the government this day, signs his post Heil Hitler.
Yeah.
And he's the hunter, and you're the hunted. Because you published the stupid immigrant pro.
Yep.
So you can be a government public sector bureaucrat posting crap like Heil Hitler, and you're a hero, and you get to be the hunter. But guys who put up the immigrant poem online, they have 8 years worth of prosecutions.
Welcome to Absurdistan.
Unbelievable. You know what? This is troubling. I want to leave you with a little bit of hope, though. Here's a clip of the Justice Minister in Parliament a few weeks ago. We just talked about the fact he was not in court.
No,
but he was in Parliament. And let's look at this clip, and we'll end the show this way.
Mr. Speaker, first of all, I would like to congratulate the Honourable Member for Westlock St. Paul for introducing this legislation and for his commitment to promotion and protection of free speech among all Canadians. Now, our government believes that Section 13 is not an appropriate or effective means for combating hate propaganda. We believe the criminal code is the best vehicle to prosecute these crimes. Therefore, I urge all members to support Bill C-304 and our government's forthcoming amendments to strengthen the hate provisions of the criminal code. I say to the opposition, get on side with the media. Maclean's Magazine, National Post, and even the Toronto Star says this section should go.
You know, I don't care which way this ends, if it's the federal court striking this law down again or Parliament dissolving it, but this disgraceful censorship law and the Human Rights Commission, this rotten, Nazi-infested Human Rights Commission, they're the ones who have to be shut down. I'm Ezra Levant. I fight for freedom.